All across the internet, you will see Thailand touted as the perfect place to be. Amazing foods, markets, beaches, you name it. But the reality is there is a massive group of people that try to make the move to Thailand and end up having to pack it up and go home. Well, why is that? In today's video, we're gonna dive into it. I'm gonna dive into some anecdotal experiences as well as some research that we can look at that might answer the question as to why so many people that try to make the move here don't end up making it. How's it going? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a great day. As you can probably tell, we've got a bit of a change of environment right now. Unfortunately, we can't hang out in the studio because we've got a bit of a marsupial problem. I don't want to talk about it. And at the same time, do you ever get that feeling when you're just maybe relaxing at home or out and about for a walk that somebody is always watching you? I don't know what it is, but I am fairly certain that my neighbors have been doing everything they can to figure out what we're doing here on this channel. So I need you to help me keep an eye out. If you see any weird stuff going on in the background, please let me know in the comments. But as of right now, let's hop into a few of these reasons, a few things that if you are not aware of or you let yourself get caught up in while you are in Thailand, it's gonna be very hard for you to live here. A lot of these can even pertain to if you're just coming to visit. A lot of these have to do with your personal health, both physically and mentally. So let's hop into it. First things first, food. Everybody talks about how amazing the food is in Thailand, and that is absolutely true. And a lot of the time, most food in Thailand is healthier compared to Western food, but for different reasons. I know that might not make very much sense right now, but let's get into some of the statistics. A lot of dishes use a hell of a lot of palm oil, sugar, MSG, refined oils, you name it, the list goes on. Now, I understand that a lot of these things, especially when it comes to things like MSG, there isn't a ton of research supporting the idea that it is terrible for you. I really think it's one of those things where too much of anything is bad, right? The thing about it is, especially when it comes to sugar, if you're eating in Thailand, you're probably not gonna be taking in as many carbs, but when it comes to sugar, things do get a little bit insane. In 2010, Thailand's available supply of sugar and sweeteners was approximately 83 grams per person per day, which is extremely high in comparison to a lot of places. Now, just like a lot of other countries in the world, there have been a lot of campaigns trying to bring some of those things down, especially when it comes to sweets, candies, drinks, things like that. A lot of these are being replaced with more natural as opposed to refined sugars. But if you ever pay attention, if you spend time with any Thai people, when it comes to a lot of dishes, you will always notice there's always some chili oil on the table and a big old thing of sugar. And you will see how many Thai people tend to load that up. So with a lot of dishes, if you're not paying attention, you could be taking in massive amounts of sugar. But when it comes to Thailand, especially with Westerners coming here, I've noticed it only goes one of two ways. Either they lose a ton of weight in that first 6 months, or a year later, they are much, much bigger. So if you're gonna be just going to town, eating whatever you want, make sure you're hitting the gym, boys. What is that noise? I fucking knew it. My neighbors must work for the NSA or something. We're not gonna let it slow us down. We're gonna roll right into our next point, and that is, I guess you could call it the lifestyle trap. When you come to Thailand, initially, it's gonna be very different than a lot of places in the West. How island time, sabai, oh, it's chill, man, nothing is that big of a deal. But if you're not careful, I think this really pertains to maybe younger people like myself, especially if you're coming to Thailand, maybe you're trying to work on something, you're still trying to make money, you're trying to build something. I have seen it and I've felt some of it myself. It can be very easy to kind of get caught up in that, oh, it's not that big of a deal, man. You need a lot less money to live here. So it's really easy to kind of get to that point where you're like, I'm kind of making it, but I'm not that, especially monetary motivation slows down quite a bit. And while the whole rat race thing is, it's still around in Thailand, but it's definitely not anywhere the same as compared to America. Rarely are you going to meet people here and they're like, hey, what are you doing? How much money you're making? What are you doing for your career? It's just not as much of a thing. So maybe if you're one of those people that might have a little trouble staying motivated on your own without, those outside influences, that is 100% something you need to keep a tight rein on. Now, our next point, kind of going hand in hand with that, is kind of just getting stuck in vacation mode. Now, I pretty much know everybody I know that has come to Thailand and is going to be staying here for extended periods. They get here And then 6 months later, they're still, running their life like they're on a 2-week vacation. Don't get me wrong. When I go on a holiday, I am going hard for that 2 weeks. If I want to party, we are full-blown partying. We are cruising through money. We're not going to worry about anything. We're going to treat ourselves. And I see a lot of people getting caught up with that in Thailand as well. When you get here, everything's shiny, everything's new, everything's exciting. And then before you know it, you're 6-8 months down the road. You've been flying through money. You might have a bit of dependency, if you know what I mean. So I think it's very important, especially if you're a freelancer, digital nomad, something like that, to understand when you come here, if you're still going to be working, if there's still things you want to achieve with your life, that you need to remind yourself, it's like, hey, I live here now. It's not really sustainable to just be in full-blown party mode. We've actually made another video talking about how important I think it is to make an active effort to start to really integrate and start to really set up roots for a life, as opposed to just, a 3-year vacation. Now with this next point, this is something that I see every single day when I'm, reading articles for our other videos. There is always 1 or 2 articles every single day talking about road fatalities or, foreigners riding motorcycles and getting in accidents. And the truth is, Thailand's roads are hectic, to say the least. I've seen so many people come here, maybe have 0 to very limited experience riding motorcycles or even just driving on the roads. They get here, they see everybody riding. Bikes are cheap, so they just hop on one, start going. God forbid, hopefully, if you are coming here, you better have some type of insurance, even though healthcare is relatively affordable in Thailand. If you get in a serious accident or God forbid you hurt somebody else, this is gonna be a really easy way to end up having all your savings cleaned out. If you do get seriously injured, if you want, you might have to go back home to get the care that you need. This is something to take very seriously. I know, especially when you first get here, it's all, fun, run and gun. We're out here, we're having a good time, but the consequences can be very severe. And, one of those things that is, if you've never ridden before, that means you've never had a bad crash before. And if you've never had a bad crash before, it's easy to not respect the motorcycle or respect your traffic. You know what I mean? A lot of my friends give me crap because I ride my bike like a grandma 99% of the time. Why is that? It's because I know what it's like to be laying in the middle of the road, busted and broken, and it is not fun. Just in 2022 alone, there were 14,737 deaths and 924,799 injuries. Among the fatalities, 536 were foreigners, 7,885 foreigners were injured. 536 foreigner deaths in 2022. You can do that math. That is more than one a day. If you're doing something, ask yourself, would mom approve of what I'm doing? And if it's a no, maybe stop doing that. And by far the most common situation that I see, getting foreigners caught up, man, getting into a situation where things can end up bad for a multitude of reasons, whether it be running out of money, getting in trouble, getting arrested, developing a serious problem. And that has to just do with the nightlife. Party time, party time, party time. We just made a video the other day talking about how this is not the entire scope of Thailand, but it is readily available. There's always a bar. There's always somewhere that's open. There's always somewhere to get beers. There's always someone that's willing to drink those beers with you. And I've seen a lot of people come here, blow through all their money way faster than they expected to, because yes, it's cheap, but if you're not careful, you get caught up comparing prices to home. You end up blowing through your money. I've personally seen people get caught up, develop serious substance problems, and that doesn't even have to necessarily do with just alcohol. Although things are very serious here when it comes to other substances, that doesn't mean they are not around. We've said it before on the channel. If you have trouble saying no, or if you have trouble kind of holding yourself responsible, or if you're one of those people where your free time, what is fun for you is going to the club and partying, that's all fine and dandy, but it's a very slippery slope. And I feel like it's one of those things you don't really realize until you're too far in. So that is something you really need to keep an eye on. If you are one of those people that might have trouble saying no, but you still want to come to Thailand, it's plenty possible to find other things to do, especially in the big cities, Bangkok, Pattaya, Phuket. There is a lot of other stuff going on. I feel like there is type of narrative out there that if you don't party, there's nothing for you in Thailand. That could not be further from the truth. Even when it comes to things like smoking, I know so many people here that quit smoking for years in the States, and then they come here and everybody's smoking. So it's pretty easy to pick up the habit again. That absolutely goes for alcohol as well. It doesn't necessarily feel like there's that little bit of stigma like there is in America. Like you could go out, sit on the beach here at 10 a.m., crack open a beer and nobody's gonna really look at you sideways. So by far, that is the thing I see getting most people caught up, getting most people out of Thailand sooner than they expected, developing health problems, relationship problems, you name it, the list goes on. If you've ever been in the vicinity of somebody who's had a problem, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I love you guys. I don't want to see that happen to y'all. So if you are planning a trip to Thailand soon, especially if you want to live here, these are very important things to keep an eye on. If you keep all of these in line, you know what you're getting into, then you're set up for success. If there are any more points that we missed, maybe you've seen some situations during your time in Thailand, things that foreigners tend to get trapped into, or things that end up sending them home early, please feel free to drop it down in the comments. It is always an open discussion. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. We are grinding for 20,000 subscribers by December 31st. If you would like to help us out with that, mwah, I love you. If not, that's fine too, but you should. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. All right, I'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Doors that way.